Welcome back. This is Daniel Hollerman with Amet Ministries. Amet is the Hebrew word for truth. And continuing with the message, the San Francisco earthquake, coming tsunami. This is the Thanksgiving, or more appropriately, the Black Friday update. Okay? And as I say, this event is going to shake America much worse than 9/11. And I believe it will finally, in measure, get America and Americans' attention. Now, I had mentioned, I started out, I haven't gotten into the earthquake and the tsunami yet, but I got into Israel. Okay, and Tehrani Motors. The Lord had me juxtapose my fingers and put T-E-H instead of T-H-E. And that backwards is the Hebrew letter Het, which actually begins with the letter C, but some people pronounce it silently with the H as in Hanukkah, which is really spelled C-H. Okay. Now, in October, what he did was he says, I want you to add up the time of this sermon. I had to do it 3 times because the enemy was fighting me. And he says, I want you to add up the time. Well, this is what the Lord did. He had me add up the time to 1:21:83. But actually, I believe it came up to 1:21:88, I believe. But God deliberately had me miscount the time, because 83 has to do with the 83rd Psalm, the nations that will come against Israel. And of course, Psalm 121 is, don't worry, Israel. You can't rely on kings and princes or American presidents. You cannot trust in the arm of flesh. You trust in me. Okay? The 121st Psalm. My help, you can read it, but my health cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. Okay? So just look up Psalm 83 and Psalm 121. It has to do with Israel. Now, the Lord impressed upon me this the other day. This came from a ministry, a Jewish ministry. I will bless those who bless you. Genesis 12:3, but the other half of that is, I will also curse those who curse you. And so he had me go to Numbers 23. And I apologize for not looking at the people and looking down. I'm not accustomed to doing this yet. Some people, I guess, can look straight on their notes on the internet and look straight ahead. I'll get to that point. But this, of course, has to do with Balaam and Balak. Balak tried to get Balaam to curse the Jews, God's people. And no matter how hard he tried, this is what came out. Psalm 23:8. How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? Now, I'm not going to say that God has not chastened his people, but he has not cursed them. Or how shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? Let's see here, verse 11. And Balak said unto Balaam, What hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. And he answered and said, Must I not take heed to speak that which the Lord hath put into my mouth? And let's go on to verse 20. Behold, I have received commandment to bless, and he hath blessed, and I cannot reverse it. And of course, Balaam and Balak were on high, looking down on the people of Israel, the Jews, okay? And it's the same thing with Elohim. He's the God on high. He sees everything that goes on. Nothing escapes his sight. And no matter who comes against his people, he will deal with, okay? Forcefully. Now, God also brought this along to me. We were talking about ears to hear. If you remember this, people can laugh and mock at these things, but this is a sign. These had to do with the ears. God says, do you have ears to hear? Now, the other day, I was walking along in a parking lot. I did not fashion this. God put this here. God might have had a Christian do this, or very probably an unsaved person. You know, he is sovereign over all. Again, but you see this. This is a complete ear, the double helix right there. okay, as a double witness. Okay? He showed me this. We're in the end times. It says the ender's game. We're in the end times. And this is no game. Now, as of this morning, the date is December 1st, 2013. I mentioned how these judgments are going to come to America fast and furiously. Okay? One of the actors in Fast and Furious died. Okay? Unfortunately, let's hope he cried out to God. Enough said. Okay, and these are nothing more than signs. Okay? Excuse me here. Now, the Lord woke me up the other morning at 441, which ironically is the gematria for the Hebrew word emet, or truth, and also stands for the remnant, the 144,000, okay? He had me go to Steve Quayle's website, and of course Steve Quayle is a watchman. He had a posting on there about the new Madrid fault line, okay? That there have been rumblings. And when I went to the site, okay, there was a link there, and specifically, the link said 441 earthquakes. So that was a witness, okay? Now, God had me do a sermon when President Bush was president about the new Madrid. If any president, and of course America is one of the four horns, okay, that is going to come against Israel, the UN, Russia, European Union, okay, they're going to come against Israel to divide their land. God told me when America is at the forefront and forces this to happen, God always has his witness on the earth. Edemet, okay? A true witness. He will part America in half, physically, right after this happens, through the Midwest, or the new Madrid fault line. And what God showed me back then, John McTernan wrote a book, as America has done basically to Israel, good and bad. I contacted him. He emailed me back. I asked permission of John McTernan whether or not I could use any parts of his book. He gave me permission to do that. And then God showed me right when I was on the web with him. He had me cover the peace conferences, New Madrid, the Madrid Peace Conference, Annapolis, Wye River, and there was another one, Annapolis, I believe. But the fault line is the same name as the peace conference, MADRID. It's just pronounced differently as Madrid or New Madrid. So God always knows the beginning, the end from the beginning. Okay, he knew this was going to happen, what America would eventually do. Okay. And another point I want to pick up is I think I'm going to have to get into this in another segment. Again, this has been Daniel Holleran with Amet Ministries.